What's up, narrative breakers? Chicago, Illinois is currently breaking the internet because they are trying to get rid of Mayor Brandon Johnson, who actually is set the city on fire over his policies with immigration. He actually fled from his actual meeting due to the backlash. This is something that has been a long time coming, and it truly does show that Chicago, Illinois, yes, Chicago is the one city, the one Democratic stronghold that is actually turning Republican.
This meeting is recessed until December 16th at 1 p.m.
You are disgusting. This is an embarrassment. You're a coward.
So he was doing his vote for the budget, adjourned it, pretty much told these people they got to wait to about next week, and everyone was pretty furious. These are individuals that have been asking for some assistance ever since the mass immigration to enter Chicago. As a lot of you know, I went to Chicago in about February and shot a documentary, and it was showing how much the immigration has changed the city, and more importantly, the opinions of everyone that live in it. People in Chicago are now going red, now supporting conservative ideas because of the lack of wealth that they've been able to obtain. Too many of the resources of Chicago has been used to create these things called Office of New Americans, which the name in itself leaves a lot of Chicago residents pretty afraid of their future. I mean, what do you mean, the Office of New Americans? What would you do if the old Americans, if we have office for new ones? But nonetheless, it's reached a boiling point. Individuals are getting close to Christmas, which I think is one of the main things that add into this. And they just don't have the jobs. They don't have the infrastructure. And they're seeing more and more of their resources being used to address migrants instead of the people that was born and raised in Chicago. And I think this is a great sample size because it shows us no matter how good a politician can be, you really can't really lose support from your party until you mess it up. Trump won so huge to me because Joe Biden did such a bad job. We're seeing the same thing happen in Chicago. People are ready to pack their bags, and they have been packing their bags and getting out of there because of Brandon Johnson. And we just went viral about, 6-7 days ago by covering another Chicago mayor, Tiffany. So I don't know what's wrong with Chicago, whether it be Tiffany, Lori Lightfoot, or Brandon Johnson. I think it's safe to say that Chicago has the worst roster of mayors. Honestly, Illinois as a whole. I don't know what the problem is down there, but it definitely got something to do with Negroes.
Chicago City Council has 3 weeks to pass the city budget. Mayor Brandon Johnson wants to vote this Friday. However, some alders are still not sold on the new taxes, fees, and fines the mayor is proposing. Political reporter Marianne Ahern here now to tell us what happens next.
Marianne, aldermen are recognizing it's down to the wire with a deadline of December 31st.
So now, as you guys see, this is the second footage that we're currently watching right now. This actually addresses the first one, the preview that you guys just saw. And that was the vote. So they're voting on a budget. Of course, the residents of Chicago haven't been satisfied with him constantly extending it because what the theory is that he constantly is extending his budget. The budget decision is because people aren't going to be that satisfied with the results and the people that budget goes towards. But it's very, very interesting. This right here was the last straw for Chicago. And this right here, this NBC News video does a great job breaking it down. So we'll be breaking that down together right now.
Mayor's allies feel he has been listening to their feedback, but it is not clear if he has the 26 votes he needs. Mayor Brandon Johnson's office now proposing a $68 million property tax levy. That's down from the initial $300 million. It's the third version of the budget with mere days left to negotiate.
I do not think that there will be 26 votes to pass this budget on Friday.
The proposed taxes add up to $234 million, plus a number of fines and fees controlled by the city. Taxes would be hiked on things like streaming services, cable, and parking garages. Aldermen react.
What you see before you is just really a budget that is going to nickel and dime the residents of the city of Chicago once again.
Nobody in the city council wants to raise taxes, but I don't know what the alternative is.
Plus, the city's tax on grocery and other store bags would go from 7 cents to 10 cents. Los Angeles also charges 10 cents.
The bag tax, that can be avoided if you bring a tote with you to.
That's BS. If they're trying to minimize how horrible a bag tax is, I'm gonna tell you what. In 2017, I went to Los Angeles when I was a part of the music business. Our record label had an opportunity to sign a deal with Universal Music Group. It didn't work out well, but I'll tell you what happened during those 2 weeks I stayed down there. I realized how impossible it is to survive in California if you got no money. It is absolutely unreal. I went to a grocery store, and mind you, I only had I was starving, like $7 in my bank account or something. It was very low, right? I got there, got me a water. Water was damn near $2. I'm like, the hell going on? It's 2017. California, LA is a shithole. It's just too high. I get my $2 water, and I forgot exactly which type of grocery store I was in, but they had a hot food section, and there was a chicken sandwich that was cooked in the store. Chicken sandwich like $3. I could do that. Try to get my $3 chicken sandwich. And in addition to this, I got me some chips. I got me some Cool Ranch Doritos, small bag, and I was going to go on my merry way. Now, mind you, and it's not a big deal because I carried it all out on hand. When I went to the register and I grabbed the bag, well, when I saw that price, it don't matter. It was just a few cents. I was like, bro, what the hell just happened to this tax? And then someone in California was telling me, hey, the bag will cost you about, it can raise your price up to like $1 or so because they weren't plastic bags. Like, we can't have regular bags here. We got these bags that's from the store with our brand on it. You could buy this. And I'm like, bro, an extra something dollar, I ain't got that. And it might just sound like $1 to some, but that's actually crazy. For me, coming from the South, it was a culture shock. Being able to fill up my bags, I took it for granted. Because I was noticing in Los Angeles, people that don't have that much money, it's even harder. You got to carry your food out. Not only are you like broke enough to have to buy, have to get food deals and nickel and dime here, you are so broke that you have to carry as if we're in a third world country. I don't think that's appropriate for Chicago, but in a sense it kind of is because they got so many migrants there now. Is it that they're trying to appeal to them by having everyone carry food on their head? I don't know. But that's exactly where we would be heading if they allow this.
Your shopping place.
Consumers aren't exactly thrilled.
What you gonna do? Obviously, the city must need the money.
The mayor has repeatedly pledged no layoffs of city workers.
A budget that would lay off workers and cut services is just, one that should not be tolerated by any Chicagoan.
Alderman also confirmed Johnson has proposed adding new speed cameras to pay for police officer jobs as part of the federal consent decree.
We in the 34th Ward downtown, we have a lot of speed cameras already, so I don't think we need any more. But if some other alders want that enforcement, I think they should have it.
Tomorrow we will see where the city council stands at this point. They'll be taking that first committee vote that's required ahead of the final vote expected on Friday. What if there is not a majority? Vice Mayor Walter Burnett says the city council will be at City Hall every day until they pass that budget, if they don't have one by Friday. Stefan?
Could be burning the midnight oil there at City Hall. Mary Ann, thank you very much.
Well, today, Mayor Brandon Johnson and City Council are returning into the metaphoric ring, will you, for another bout at next year's budget.
That's right. A final vote is expected today, and it will be pretty close, as we've already seen this week with some of the committee votes. NBC5's Jen Shantz is here in studio breaking down what's included in this proposal and this big deadline that is fast approaching, Jen.
And that's such an important deadline, Lisa and Evrod, December 31st.
Like I keep saying, this is the straw that broke Chicago's back. The Chicago, Illinois residents have gotten too tired of the Democrats taking advantage of them and keeping them in a less than favorable position. To me, I say it's on biblical proportions. Because this is something I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I've been Republican since I was 6 years old, and I wouldn't be lying if I didn't say I didn't foresee Chicago going red. But it's thanks to them doing such a horrible job. I mean, you get rid of Lori Lightfoot, and I'll be honest. Lori Lightfoot wasn't nothing to brag about. And then you replace her with Brandon Johnson. And he does just a equally horrible job. So you telling me you can bring a male Negro and a female Negro, and this is the result? This is why you got white folks be talking about they don't want niggas in position. And I'm not cooning. I'm just speaking of what be true because it kind of helps create that narrative. And I know someone might say, well, you got white people that's also doing a horrible job all across the country. Gavin Newsom is white. Gavin Newsom is white. But why does Gavin Newsom never really look stupid when he's doing his job? That's just the thing. Why is he not going viral for looking like an idiot? Now, you know someone that is fucking like pretty ignorant and goes viral for being dumb? AOC, Kamala Harris. You know, it's not race exclusive, but I do find myself wondering, basking into oblivion, to think, why is it our niggas? Why are they so damn stupid? And why do they make us look so bad? Can't help but wonder.
It's important that city leaders get this over the finish line by then to avoid a reduction in the bond rating for the city. More importantly, though, city leaders need to agree on the budget to keep necessary programs running.
We have to get this thing done so that we don't close the city down. And if we do close the city down, we lose money. It makes everything.
Now, there has been a lot of debate over this budget, which is now in its third draft. Here's what's in it. A $68 million property tax hike. Now, that is down from the original $300 million hike Mayor Johnson originally asked for, despite promising the opposite on the campaign trail. So what does this mean for Chicagoans? If you own a home that's worth $450,000, for example, you'll be paying around $136 more each year. Also included in the budget for next year, increases in weekend parking fees at city garages, increases on taxes paid for streaming services like Netflix, and bumping the city's grocery bag tax from 7.
Nah, I ain't gonna cap. That Netflix is ridiculous. That Netflix is worth people, protesting over. It's already too high. And I'm trying to wonder, are they intentionally trying to destroy Chicago? You have to understand that Chicago conveniently has these, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You know I love saying that. Has railroad routes that holds military weapons, right? That allows these young niggas to get their hands on it. Like, you will see people in Chicago, and I'm not making this up, with RPGs, with GR-36Cs. I'm talking about great, amazing assault rifles, bro. They got things that you ain't supposed to have until 2028 because they're being transferred through Chicago rail system. Those rail systems, for some reason, are built right through the urban neighborhoods. And I could understand that during the beginning process that these neighborhoods originally existed for the Industrial Revolution, because during the Industrial Revolution, we had a economic boom. People start building around these rail stations and factories at the time. Once these factories shut down, those encompassing areas become the hood. I'm not oblivious to it. But there is a problem with the fact that these train routes go through the hoods in Chicago and it's supplying these young men with guns. It is reminiscent to the rumors of the 1960s and 50s, 70s of the government dropping drugs off in our hoods. It feels like we're seeing those same things today. And I believe it's because of poor management that Chicago has. And no, I don't think it's random. This is something I'm talking about that has been going on for about the last 16 years. Minimum, and I'm sure it's much farther than that. If someone's more educated on the Chicago train, railroad, and the weaponry, please educate us in the comments below. You can even look at a individual from Chicago named J Main. He broke this down and exposed this. Chicago, in the hood, they know these trains got weapons, and they go and pick them up. There are so many different situations in Chicago that's making that city as bad as it is. I'm going to reveal something else here. I got a lot of connections in Chicago now since I did that documentary and spent that time out there. And I was informed one of the craziest, most disgusting things. I was called, and it was about in September, and they said, Dom, we got a big problem down here in Chicago. I'm saying, what's up? They tell me that gangbangers, the head of these hoods, the OGs, was gatekeeping the votes. They were threatening, these niggas were threatening the lives of people that wanted to vote for Donald Trump. If that ain't the KKK in 2024, I don't understand what is, because if you don't know, the KKK was formed to oppose the Republican Party. It was formed to threaten black people not to vote for Republicans. It literally was formed to try to destroy the Republican narrative, to try to scare quote unquote uppity blacks into doing what they were told to do. That was the actual narrative of it. Is that not what's happening in Chicago? They're just using Negroes this time instead of people with a white hood. They found out that if you can put a nigga in a flag and get it over his face, if you could get him to get a bandana and put it over his face, it will accomplish the goal far better than any Klansman could with a white hood.
Up to 10 cents. All told, this adds up to an extra $234 million in city revenue if approved. All of this, though, is unfolding as tensions rise in City Council. Staffing shakeups, disagreements over a large development deal, even a fire this week on the county side of the building, adding to the drama of today's expected vote. Older people not on board with the mayor's approach say there haven't been enough cuts and efficiencies to make some of these proposed increases reasonable.
What we saw were hundreds of millions in fines and fee increases, as well as a property tax hike. And our constituents were saying, please do not increase the property tax without doing the things that are necessary to pare down government first.
Right now is a combination of everything that everyone brought to the table, and this is the best deal that we have so far.
The mayor has said repeatedly there will be no layoffs of city workers to make this budget work. He's also hoping to avoid major cuts to programs. Some will be necessary, though, including a $29 million cut for small business grants. If City Council cannot agree on a budget by...
Dude, how is that okay? Do you understand how big the SBA is? So you telling me people that are far deserving... Guys, you got to understand. These are the things that destroy civilizations. So you're telling me individuals that work extremely hard, created their own business, and doing it the right way, paying their taxes, doing it all the right way, they are unable to get a grant for their business. Not alone a grant, something that's provided by the government for you doing all the right things. A grant is literally given to people for checking all the boxes. This is someone that is living their life the best way possible according to the United States government. They just lost their opportunity to fund their business. Let's say a business that's actually being destroyed by the increase in migration, right? Their business is destroyed. They don't get the funds to even keep it afloat. Who are the people they're going to start envying? Who's the people they're going to start having a problem with? Migrants. Democrats are creating their own problems, guys. Y'all know I love saying this. Democrats, the same walls they built up are the ones they are trapped in. They have trapped themselves in these walls that they've created, the walls of propaganda, the walls of gaslighting, just the walls of lies. They are trapped in these walls, and they can't break out of them. They have to sync with this party.
Today, council members will be back at City Hall this weekend. Mayor Johnson's team says they're confident they will have the numbers today. We'll have to wait and see. At least one older person has asked the vote to be wrapped up by 3 p.m. today to observe Shabbat. Lisa?
We'll have to see if they can get this passed. Thank you so much, Jen. Well, we're getting to breaking news into our newsroom this morning. So we've been telling you about Chicago's 2025 budget. It was slated for a final vote today. Mayor Brandon Johnson needs 26 votes in order to push this through, but it is expected to be close, and the mayor could even be the tie-breaking vote. NBC5's Jen Shantz is here in studio breaking down what's included in this budget, this big deadline fast approaching. And Jen, tell us about this new information you are just learning about the timing of this vote.
Yeah, big development here, Lisa. Just in the last couple of moments, we've learned from sources close to aldermen that the budget vote is being moved to Wednesday. It's already been delayed. The city faces an important deadline, too, December 31st. It has to get the budget over the finish line or risk its bond rating, so there's a lot at stake here. This additional delay coming amid fears that Mayor Johnson may not have the votes needed. And also it comes after razor-thin margins for committee votes earlier this week. Now, there has been a lot of debate over this budget, which is now in its third draft. Here's what's included in this version. A $68 million property tax hike. Now, that is down from the original $300 million hike Mayor Johnson originally asked for, despite promising the opposite on the campaign trail. So what would this mean for Chicagoans? If you own a $450,000 home, for example, you would pay around $136 more each year. Also included in this version of the budget proposal, increases in weekend parking fees at city garages, increases on taxes paid for streaming services like Netflix, and bumping the city's grocery bag tax from 7 to 10 cents. All told, this adds up to an extra $234 million in city revenue if approved.
The division that's been created over the last year and a half is pretty apparent on these votes.
And I think that by the time Friday comes, how we come together in the next 48 hours will be watched, but I'm confident we will.
Those aldermen speaking with NBC5 earlier this week. The mayor has repeatedly said there will be no layoffs of city workers to make the budget work. He's also hoping to avoid major cuts to programs, but some will be necessary, including a $29 million cut for small business grants. Again, that major development we are learning this morning from sources that the budget vote is expected to be delayed until Wednesday. We will be following this very closely. We'll have much more to come at 11 o'clock.
We certainly thought that they were going to at least work through the weekend, but now.
All I can say to you is that you are a disgrace. I'm an 80-year-old woman, and I've never seen anything like this. I grew up.
They are cooking Brandon. I'm telling you, his entire residence, like, how bad do you have to be a black propaganda politician and lose the one thing that you're good at, race bait?
In the Jim Crow South, and the policies that you're passing in this city remind me of the Jim Crow South. I had to drink out of a colored water fountain, or the whites would drink out of a white water fountain. But you know what I didn't have to worry about? Going back to my community, and it would be destroyed. And everybody else is in my community but black people. And this is what you've done with this immigration. You have allowed all these people, you brought all these people into this city. You are destroying this city. And the black community is flooded with all of these immigrants, violent ones, prostitution, gangs. You did that. You are doing this to your people. You are an absolute disgrace to me. Like I said, I drank out of that colored water fountain, but I could go back to that black community that was intact. Women are crying.
Wow, they're saying, she's literally saying that life was better with segregation, Jim Crow era, than compared to living under Brandon Johnson. If this isn't a diss, I don't know what is. This is probably the worst I've ever seen Brandon Johnson get cooked. I mean, damn, this is someone that literally says they'd rather be in segregation than live in his Chicago.
Taxes are going up. What am I going to do with my children? Where are we going to go and live? This is because of you, Brandon Johnson. You're destroying the south side of Chicago with your policy, all under the Democratic Party. You are a disgrace.
And we're going to start right here in Chicago, Illinois.
So this is something that just came up. This is being posted today all over the internet. So Tom Hoffman, the incoming border czar, he said that he's going to prosecute mayors that are doing wrong by the American people with this migration situation. And he's starting off with Chicago. So it's going to be very interesting. And Brandon Johnson has a lot to look forward to in 2025. And why does my camera keep failing on me?
If your Chicago mayor doesn't want to help, but if he impedes us, if he knowingly harbors and conceals an illegal alien, I will prosecute.
Yes. So we cut off the pipeline of boys between the ages of 10 and 19 being either victims or the perpetrators. So, yeah, it is personal.
Mind you,
Black Death.
This is Brandon Johnson relating the problems of black Americans in Chicago to Ronald Reagan. And you won't believe this. I just had to add this clip just to show how delusional the individual we're talking about truly is.
Has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson. And we ended up with Richard Nixon. I'm going to work hard every day to transform this city. That's what it takes to build a better, stronger city.
Apologies, it was Richard Nixon. I don't know why I said Ronald Reagan. As you can tell, I'm trying to actually while we're live, work on this camera. Don't know what's going on. But I'm as transparent as possible. We're going to keep this rolling. Nothing's going to stop this content. So as of right now, please just focus on the yellow screen at the bottom left and imagine that's me running my ugly mouth.
Chicago, I need everybody to step up.
The issue is not just how we respond in the city of Chicago, it's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the...
So in case you don't know, that was Brandon Johnson being mad about the situation of the governor of Texas sending out migrants to Chicago. We're going to end this with this right here. I don't know if a lot of people are aware, but the governor of Texas actually sent all the immigrants that are in Chicago because it's a sanctuary city. It's one of the craziest moves I've seen in my political lifetime. Yeah, he definitely sent them. He sent all of those migrants down from Texas to Chicago since Democrats didn't want to shut down the border. And now we're seeing the end result of this. Was it brilliant by Texas part? Yes, because they're not going through those problems. So that last video that you saw was him addressing how Texas sent all those people over. Now, this is why I'm bringing this up. Brandon Johnson was mad about Texas sending everyone over, as you can see on that last footage. But yet, as of today, Brandon Johnson said that he disagrees with Trump busting out all of these migrants and sending them back home. He said he's going to separate families, and that's not the way to do things. So you can tell that these people are extremely hypocritical, and they only care about their narrative and not the people that live within it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Super sorry about this, my camera, whatever happened with that. But please like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell. This will not happen again. Anytime I say something won't happen again, I assure you it doesn't. Thank you.